Good morning. Local newspapers are the backbone of our democracy. They put citizens in touch with the government. They keep the government constantly accountable to the citizens. And most importantly, they facilitate discussion, compromise, and understanding of the issues that shape life in cities and small towns all over America by offering the average American a forum and a voice in our great dialectic. Or at least that's how I've always imagined it. See, here in the Hagerstown area, the closest thing we have to a local newspaper is the Herald-Mail and its ignoble contribution to our public discourse mail call, where the senile, the misinformed, and the plain crazy gather every day to scream anonymously at one another. The following comments are taken from editions of Mail Call printed in the Herald-Mail from May 17th to May 31st, and which can be viewed online in their entirety at www.herald-mail.com. First up from Chooseville. Glad to see the Herald-Mail on A7, the 13th, reported that the stamp honoring Katharine Hepburn is going to be done by the federal government. Seems sad Audie Murphy, the most highly decorated soldier, can't even get it, but Bart Simpson and all these Hollywood stars can. And also the Kagan nomination. We're going to wind up having no Protestants on the Supreme Court. Something's wrong with this picture. A few days later, someone called in to correct that bit about Audie Murphy not getting a stamp. See, that's him right there on the bottom, right next to Sergeant York. As for having no Protestants on the Supreme Court, what is wrong with this picture exactly? I'm an atheist. You don't hear me complaining about the fact that there have never been any atheists on the Supreme Court. Sure, it would be nice, but there's only 9 seats. They don't come up empty that often. Why no uproar over the lack of Muslim representation on the court? Or Hindu? Or Buddhist? Wouldn't Leonard Cohen make an awesome Supreme Court justice? To all baseball fans out there, see if you agree with me or not. Wouldn't it be great if Bud Selig, the commissioner who is afraid to make a decision, would step up and say if anybody is connected in any way with steroids, their records will not count. They will be stricken from the books. Goodbye, Barry Bonds, Rafael Palmeiro, Mark McGuire, etc., etc. Hagerstown. This suggestion gets thrown around a lot, but it doesn't make much sense. The statistics of individual players don't exist in a vacuum. Sure, it's easy to say, let's just wipe Barry Bonds out of the books, but if his 762 home runs just disappear, what happens to the stats of the pitchers who gave up all those home runs? Do we adjust those too, so that according to the record books at least, they never gave up those home runs? What about the outcomes of the games that were decided by some of the almost 2,000 runs batted in by Barry Bonds? Do you alter the scores? Do you retroactively award victories to teams that actually lost years after the fact? Or do you keep the numbers intact but wipe out the names so that the game summary for, let's say, the Nationals versus Giants game on August 7th, 2007 would read, Mike Baxick gave up another run to San Francisco in the bottom of the 5th when nobody homered to right center. Actually, this is such a stupid, nonsensical, utterly unworkable idea that Selig would probably be all over it. Have you called his office? 11 motorcycle deaths. If you don't want to get killed on a motorcycle, then don't drive a motorcycle. Washington County. I think that's pretty damn good advice myself. Of course, not everyone thinks so. Here's one from a few days later. I'd like to make a comment. In Wednesday's paper, to the person in Washington County who said if you don't want to get killed, don't ride a motorcycle. Well, I ride a motorcycle. It's dumb drivers like you who kill people on motorcycles because you're not paying attention. Hagerstown. So let me get this straight. You choose to ride a vehicle that offers its operator no protection whatsoever, that is basically just an engine with wheels and handlebars, on the same road as vehicles that are much bigger, faster, and better protected, and yet the responsibility for motorcyclists dying in accidents belongs to the people driving cars. There's a lot about motorcycles that pisses me off. The noise, the tendency of motorcyclists to travel in packs, the way a whole bunch of them will blow through a stop sign all at once like they're a single vehicle, that stupid little wave they give when they pass each other going the other way. But this may be the top of the list. This presumptuous attitude that the rest of us on the road who aren't on motorcycles have to be extra careful to look out for all you morons who are. When I drive, I pay attention so that I don't get into an accident with anybody, no matter what they're driving. But you know, I'm with the first guy on this. If you want to drive a motorcycle, you watch your own ass. Don't expect the rest of us to do it for you. And here's one of those calls that reminds me that when it comes to Washington County, my embarrassment is matched only by my love. This is from Smithsburg. Is it legal to hunt a bear with a sword? This one triggered a lot of response in the next couple of days. Some by people who didn't seem too amused, but most by people who were trying to be funny. Here's my favorite from Cave Town. Of course it's legal to hunt a bear with a sword. It's self-defense. He's got a sword. Moving right along. I'm so tired of reading articles in our Daily Mail and they don't give the name of a person that the article's about. Here late it always says that the person cannot be identified or we are withholding their name. What's the reason for that? It's not even anything criminal. Like today it's a man that fell off a rock and they're not giving his name. What's up with that? That's like getting half the news. Hagerstown. You read an article in the paper about a guy falling off a rock and you're pissed that it doesn't mention his name? That's not getting half the news. That's not getting any news. Guy falls off rock? Dude, that's not news. And why are you so hot to learn his name anyway? Hasn't this man been through enough? He fell off a rock. Right? There's nobody there. I'm watching the Today Show here on Thursday. Right now they're airing His Holiness, the Dalai Lama from Tibet. I thought the only holy person was God. I was brought up that the only holiest person is God and Jesus. I don't believe we should be addressing him His Holiness. The only one we have is God and Jesus. Hagerstown. Who's we? See, I don't think God even exists, and I certainly don't believe that Jesus was his son, so neither one of them are holy people to me. And personally, I don't think that the media or our government should be addressing the Dalai Lama as His Holiness. But then I don't think we should be calling the Pope or anyone else by that title either. I think it's enough respect that we call them by their silly made-up names when they come to visit. Though I'm still not sure why Dalai Lama is considered a better name for this guy than Tenzin Gyatso. Because if I had a name that badass, I'd never change it. Tenzin Gyatso. This is to all cat owners that let their cats run loose. Keep your cats in your own yard. They are the #1 killer of all wildlife. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what kind of people they are. What kind of people who are? The cats? I have a cat. There she is. She stays in the house, mostly because I don't want her getting run over by a car. If we lived outside of town and had a big yard, I'd probably let her run around outside. Then she could kill things for real instead of pretending to kill my foot. But can that really be right? Cats, the #1 killer of wildlife? Surely we humans must kill way more animals than cats. I mean, a cat can handle a mouse or a bird or a rabbit, okay, but what's a cat going to do against a deer or a bear with a sword? You know, maybe whoever typed this up just misspelled it and the caller was actually saying car instead of cat. That'd make more sense. This is to all car owners that let their cars run loose. Keep your cars in your own yard. They are the #1 killer of all wildlife. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what kind of people... I still don't get that last bit. And finally, from Boonesboro, it's 9:38 on Thursday night. Channel 9, CSI, used to be my favorite show. I'm turning it now to Watch the Weather Channel because it has gotten so stupid. Please take it off the air. Yeah, the staff at Mail Call are actually pretty swamped, so I'm going to see about taking CSI off the air. Maybe early next week, if I get a minute. Let's say Tuesday. In the meantime, please continue not watching the show. Oh, and the Mail Call guys wanted me to tell you that they're very sorry to hear that you were so disappointed in the latest #1 Ladies Detective Agency novel. They've spoken with Mr. Smith, and they're confident that you'll like the next one a lot better. Okay? Thanks for watching.